Who? What do you mean your email? Who you emailing? I'm not understanding that part.
Email our parole officers, and I'm going to have them, and if you want to file the charge of theft, and we'll let them do that. But what they will do is that after they interview you, and if you can, Robert, just keep it right down to the facts of the case, and they'll go interview Leslie. And if it doesn't rise to probable cause, and even if it does rise to probable cause, they will send it to the district attorney's office.
Okay, and then what? So we're still looking at it. Still looking.
The district attorney's office. He is the chief law enforcement officer in the county, so it will be his decision whether or not a charging instrument for theft goes forward for prosecution. Does that make sense?
Well, I hear you saying that, but I'm not worried about doing a criminal charge on them. I'm just trying to get my dog back.
Well, I understand, but if you want to get the dog back, you're right. I just read ORS 30, which talks about service animals, and that the remedy for that is it is a civil action. It's not a criminal action. So they were right in that respect. That if there's a dispute about the ownership of a service animal, then it is the remedy is found under ORS Chapter 30. However, if you want to report that somebody has stolen or the theft of a companion animal, that falls under the criminal code of ORS 164.055, and that is an actionable a report that we can take and send it to the district attorney's office for their consideration and prosecution of theft. But they were also right that under Section 30, the way you get it back is through civil litigation. However, if you want the theft report for theft in the first degree, that of a companion animal, then we can take that report and file it with the district attorney's office for their consideration and prosecution. So, to both points, there is ORS about it's called theft in the first degree, Section 1, sub E. It reads, the subject of the theft is a livestock animal, a companion animal, or wildlife removed from its habitat and born in the wild. And so, that is, like I said, it's a theft. It's a Class C felony. And so that is a crime. Whereas under Section 30, it says the remedy and the solution for violation of ORS Chapter 30 is civil litigation, where you recover costs associated with the separation of the service animal from the service animal.
And that's where I'm getting confused, because it's not I don't want to go after the cost or damage of a civil litigation part. I just want to physically have my dog with me.
I'm telling you, under the law, there's the choices for your remedy. And to say that the police officers aren't doing anything, this is the remedy allowed under the law for us to do. We can't just go over there and snap up the dog. It can either be settled through ORS Chapter 30, through civil litigation, or we can take a report of theft in the first degree, a Class D felony, and that of a companion animal. And so I'm going to send them the email to give you a chance to think it over, and then when they give you a call, you can make the determination as to whether or not you want them to take the case of theft in the first degree and forward it to the district attorney's office for consideration and prosecution. So,
okay, and then is there a way that you can?
I don't know what else to help you with.
Is there a way that you can put in there that through this process of me requesting my dog back, I was told by Shannon Matson that she was going to have her mom Leslie file a restraining order against me because of the fear that Leslie has of me taking my dog?
That will be something that the officer can include in his report.
Okay.
It's just to have them reach out and contact you because you have a desire to report theft of a companion.
Okay, so can I repeat to you just because when I go to therapy, so that way to see if I repeat, if I have it correct to repeat to my therapist? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, so that there's a civil part and a criminal part, and for the civil part, for the civil litigation for damages, basically, of the financial part, you'd have to go through that. But to appropriately go through the right steps to physically have my dog back, there's the criminal part that is going to be that I'm waiting to hear back from an officer, or I believe an officer, and then the officer is going to take the report and then forward it to the district attorney's office to then establish if there's going to be any criminal charges brought. But there hasn't been anything specifically said about the return physically of my dog.
That the only under the criminal of ORS 164.055, if the person is convicted of that, the judge could, I'm not saying they will, but I have seen it happen, but the judge could order that the animal is returned to you. And the same could be true under ORS Chapter 30. So under the civil resolution, but the police department doesn't initiate civil action. The person has to initiate the civil action, but we can initiate criminal action. And so that's what I'm going to send this out to these officers for that.
Okay, but did I pretty much get that translated right? So when I repeat it to my therapist, or
Yeah, but
Okay.
I cannot guarantee that the judge will order them to give you the dog back. But I'm just explaining to you the options that I'm aware of right now under Oregon Revised Statute. But part of the process could end up being that the judge, in either case, orders the return of the animal to you. I can't speak for the judge. All I can tell you is what a possibility may be.
okay, all right. And then your name?
You know Leslie's telephone number, by the way?
I do not know it.
Okay. All right.
I know that she's talked to Officer Orlando before, and I believe she's talked to Webb before, but I know for a fact that she talked to Orlando. And the thing that was kind of confusing was that Orlando and Webb were telling me that because me and Gina are known to cohabitate or live together, but yet it wasn't even Gina saying that it was her keeping the dog, or you get what I'm saying? So it was kind of like the ball.
What we have to establish is who is it that is denying you possession of your dog? Is it Leslie?
As far as
Somebody has to be a suspect.
yes, and as far as I understand it, it's either Leslie and Shannon, or it's just Leslie. I'm not too sure.
All right.
That's what I do know.
All right. Well, I'll give that to him, but again, we have to rise to the level of probable cause. That more likely than not, the person who's being considered for charges was the person who committed the crime, and that the crime meets the statutory requirements of a crime, theft in the first degree, to wit, the companion animal.
Yeah, and then there's also the difference between the companion and service part, and he's technically my service animal. I got the paperwork to back that.
You're right. This statute, like I said, 164.055, it specifically names as a companion animal.
Yes.
So I don't know what you're calling the dog, a service animal or a companion animal.
No, he's legally my service animal. He is my service animal. I got paperwork to prove that he is my service animal. He's not a companion animal. He is my service animal. He mitigates my disability.
Right, and I understand that, but let me just type in Oregon Revised Statute.
The ORS 30.822 is one part that I looked up.
Correct, and that's the civil.
Okay, that's the civil part. Okay. I understand what you're saying now. Okay. And then the other part was the ORS 164.055. That's the criminal part, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm looking up right now what is the ORS definition for service animal.
And I didn't actually know that he was actually my service animal up until I filed paperwork with the courts, and the judge read the paperwork over. And when the paperwork says, I'm reading it right here, it says, Robert Talley has a mental health client of mine from 11/17/14 until 9/8/15. Robert constantly reports his symptoms of PTSD were effectively managed and reduced with the aid of his dog for soothing, calming, grounding, and comfort. Based on the reports, it is my opinion that Robert benefits greatly from his companion pet, is what it's wrote. But legally, When it went, I know, but when it went to the judge and the judge read that because of the way that it's wrote, with the way that it mitigates my disability, that at that point it became my service animal. So then at that,
They wrote it, the doctor wrote it in the term under statute as companion animal, which fits in the definition of theft in the first degree.
okay. Well, I'm just telling you what I went, like when I went to court or whatever, and then when that was filed with the judge made his decision to let my dog go with me was because of the way that it was wrote, that by law that makes it my service animal by the way that the judge read that letter. So so the letter actually says companion, but then by law I guess it's technically my service animal.
All right, well, that's what I mean. That's why there's some ambiguity in the law. So I will give this on to them, and they will forward it to the district attorney's office, and they are the ones who are tasked to interpret the law and how it's applied.
I hear that. I hear that. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good luck and take care.
You too. Bye.